Welcome to the Better Business Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Zelan. Join me week after week as I interview high-level entrepreneurs on their journey to success, both in business and personal development. Each week presents new stories to learn from and new ideas on how to run a better business. Stay updated with all the guests we'll have by subscribing to this podcast. Welcome to another episode of Better Business with Austin Zelan. I'm super excited to have our guest, Mazzy Eckel, with us today. She's going to share a little bit about her journey on how she's gotten to where she's at today and really kind of walk us through the entrepreneurial journey that some people take. And, you know, not everybody's built for business. And sometimes people have to go through a process to realize that that's actually what they want to do with their life. And I know I've gone through that process where I did work a corporate job and then eventually I did go into entrepreneurship. And so she's going to share some insights that she has on that. And so I'm super excited to hear a little bit more from her. So let's start out with you sharing your story and how you got to where you're at today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me today. Well, I was born and raised on the East Coast, New York City, New Jersey area. And from a really young age, I was involved in politics and digital media. And I used to watch it with my dad, watch the presidential debates and everything with my dad. And I got into politics. And through working in politics and media, I just had this huge love for it. And then that's what I pursued on for my college degree. But then once I graduated college, which a lot of people my age are probably figuring out, is that there's a really big lack of opportunities. And if there are any opportunities, they just don't really pay well. So I just decided to start my own business. And I now own my own digital communications business, Eckel Brand Management. And I started Pageant coaching recently this year. And it's been a really amazing journey.
Okay, cool. So what kind of brought you to that realization that you didn't really want to work for another company and you just wanted to start your own business?
Honestly, I just didn't have anyone to reach out to, new opportunities. And the ones that I got, like I said before, just weren't paying well. And I just was not willing to work for someone my whole life that wasn't going to pay me what I thought I believed and what I thought I should have.
Okay, cool. And so do you think that that's something that other people are encountering as well as they go through college and they're
Oh,
graduating?
yeah, for sure. I've spoken to so many people who are around my age, just graduating college, and there's just not anything to work for. And this different mindset, people are wanting to be influencers. They're wanting to have their own businesses and
hmm
work themselves. And I have as well worked corporate and just been exhausted and looking up from my desk and realizing, what am I doing with my life? And
hmm
that's when I decided to start my own business. And I started with actually, I had clients before I started my own business. I
hmm
reached out to people. And from there, I thought, there's actually something here. I was interning at this firm for I'm working in politics. And I said, hey, what's my next thing to go to? Where do I go from here? And so they gave me some people that needed help in the digital space and social media space. And that's where I landed my first two clients. And the week later, I signed off and started my own business.
Wow, interesting. Okay. I think it's really, really important that as entrepreneurs, we have to make that realization that working for somebody else is not the path for us. And then it's definitely still a leap of faith. And I know in my experience, I kind of took a similar path to you where I didn't go just all in on entrepreneurship without any safety net. I still continued working my job. And I think that's
Yeah.
smarter for most people to do. But I started building the business on the side to see if I could gain some traction with it because truthfully, my first business didn't work out. It was the second one that did. And so I tried the first thing, I got some traction, but I'm like, you know what? I actually don't even really like this. I just didn't want to do what I had to do to continue running that business because I found a better way to do business. And so is that something that you experienced or did you kind of stick with the first thing that you tried and it ended up working out?
No, not at all. I actually was a bartender while working with my clients. So I would make it so I'd work at night from 5 to 12 a.m., 2 a.m., like crazy hours. And I didn't like bartending, but I just kind of did it because the tips were amazing. And then I would wake up at 7 and then finish my work with my clients, have meetings with them. And it sucked. It sucked for a while, but it really motivated me. I did this work with my clients. For example, I worked with a nonprofit and I was their head of communications. They were a nonprofit that had been in business for 20, 25 years,
hmm
but had not really stepped into that world of social media marketing. And
hmm
they hired me And so I was running their website, posting for them, helping with webinars, email distribution, email marketing. And so I'd wake up, have meetings with them, do my work with them, and then go to my sucky bartender job and have people be like, why are you working here? What are you doing? And I'm like, you know what? That's those, you saying that to me is going to motivate me to actually want to go all in. So I actually worked as a bartender for only 4 months. And then I set a date for myself saying, hey, this is only going to be a short term thing.
Hmm.
And no matter what happens, I'm just going to go all in.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Are you glad you made that decision?
I'm so glad I made the decision. I would go home just sticky. And I mean, yeah, I don't think I belong in the business, but it really taught me a lot about really doing something to motivate myself. And I had a job that I really liked that I built myself. And yes, I actually was making more as a bartender at the time than I was in my digital communications business.
Hmm.
But I think that pressure I put on myself at night and just saying, oh, I hate this job. This sucks. And then in the morning going and working and doing something that I had control over and I
Hmm.
had control over my time, my money, my worth, like really motivated me to kind of keep going all in.
Hmm. Okay. And so I think you're touching on a very important subject there. It's like, when the pain of staying in one place is greater than the pain of taking that leap, then we finally take that leap of faith, even if it's not certain that we're going to succeed. So it's like, okay, this job sucks so much, or I hate being where I'm at so much that it's less scary to move forward into something else.
Oh yeah, I didn't care. I mean, like I said, I like sometimes was making some months, like I would gain clients, lose clients, that kind of thing happens.
Hmm.
And some months I was making more as a bartender or whatever job I was doing on the side at the moment. But being able to have ownership of my time, even if it was just like I was working for $35 an hour, that was my money and I had control over it. And it felt just so empowering in relation to, let's say, working for someone else and someone else defining your how much you should be paid or what you should be doing.
Hmm. And so, how did you decide specifically to go into communications and social media and all that stuff?
I actually kind of fell into it. So my degree was in political science, but you had my former boss on, Samantha Overmars, and I worked for her as an executive assistant for about a year. And I did so much than being just an executive assistant. I would run her social media brands for some of her pages or other businesses. And I also was in Pageant. So I was also very familiar with the world of being in social media marketing and how to have a brand. And I just found it really easy and just
Hmm.
came to me so naturally that I started kind of going more in that direction and, reaching out to friends of friends who have businesses saying, hey, like, I can help you. I can help you boost your social media engagement, just having someone to take that off their plate. And
Hmm.
then slowly, as I was getting my poli sci degree, I was low key getting my degree in digital marketing too, because I was working during the day doing that partially and also earning my degree. And yeah, it kind of just came together. And actually have been able to combine both my love for politics and communications because I do work for some politicians and I have in the past in the field of digital communications.
Hmm. So, do you think that social media plays a pretty big role in politics and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Do you see the playing field right now? Like everyone is so involved in it. TikTok, Instagram, everything. I mean, people are looking at people our age, 18 to 35, because we're the people who are going to change this election. And my world working in politics, I found there's a lot of people who have not delved in that platform yet, who are 50s plus, who have been mayor or council members, and they really have no idea what they're doing. So I
Yeah.
really started tapping into that market about a year or two ago, where I was working with politicians who have never worked in social media before, and they just need someone and need someone to take that role over.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, that's such a niche market. It's like how to speak their language because of your degree
Hmm.
and your experience in social media, and so you're kind of able to combine the best of both worlds, really. And you're approaching them with this proposition to help them with social media because they're not as savvy as you are. So cool. So I think that's really really smart, and I think it's a unique approach as opposed to what most people are doing in the space. So. What would you say are some of the challenges that you've faced as you've grown in that space?
A lot of challenges that I have my hands in many different pots. I
Mhm.
work in politics, nonprofit spaces. But I've also worked in fashion areas and I love being creative in that aspect and pageantry. So it's really sometimes hard to nail down what people I'm working with because I love working with all different people. I don't really want to necessarily close a door on certain fields or not. Like when I work with girls who are competing with pageants and branding with them, that's all fashion, that's all advocacy. Whereas in politics, it's a lot, it's not so glamorous and it's not so fun. And so being able to shift from a voice of professionalism to fun and creativity can take some work. And it does take years of learning experience how to do those type of things.
Hmm. And what's your favorite aspect about managing social media or like creating social media accounts or profiles for politicians?
To be truly honest, I think it's kind of fun to like have that wielding of power. I always that's like that's besides the point. But
So are you the person behind Trump's Twitter?
no.
Are you running his Twitter by any chance?
Oh, I think it's all him, to be honest. I think it's all him. But I did make this joke on social media the other day where I was like, I can ruin some lives with how many social media logins I have. So that's kind of a fun part to just like keep
Wow.
myself.
Yeah.
But it just like the fact that like I'm talking to these, I mean, you see these people and you think, oh, that's a politician writing that. But no, there's someone behind that. And that my words mean more than, let's say, I post for a small business. It means more that these words are coming from this person that has so much influence. And you have to take that really seriously.
Yeah.
Words matter, rechecking words. You don't know how many times that I've like double check things. Like, is the grammar okay? Does it look good before I posted something? Because there's so many eyes on that social media page.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. I never really thought about that there's probably like somebody else tweeting or posting on Instagram or something behind the post. So do you have to like approve the posts before you post them?
Yes. So usually it goes through, my experience has been I have had to go through the politician or who I'm working for.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have consultants or firms that are kind of that middle person. You know, a lot of candidates have that. So I will usually go through whoever is higher up, and then it'll go to the candidate or the politician to approve be posted for them on their behalf.
Mm, gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes
And
sense.
sometimes it takes a long time because politicians don't like checking their
Yeah.
emails.
So then do you kind of like batch approve content? It's like, hey, I need your approval for the next month or the next week or something.
Yes, that's what I would like, but everything is always ever changing. Things happen. So working with people in the political field can be difficult because you have to be ahead of the game. You have to be snappy. You have to get things lightning fast because things do change. Um, I remember it wasn't my fault, but I remember I posted something which was approved, but then something happened, which I can't say because then they know who I'm talking about.
Tell
And
us.
no, I can't. And then I got emails like, delete that really quickly, really quickly. It wasn't my fault and nothing was wrong, but it just, something happened in the time between in the morning when I posted for them to when they emailed me that made it in bad taste.
Mm,
So I had to take something down. So you have to be on your feet,
mm.
checking your emails, making sure there's a direct line of communication with whoever you're posting is and checking with, because sometimes that does happen when you have to pull something down the last minute.
Interesting. So do you like DM people on the behalf of politicians?
No, usually I don't. I usually kind of keep it to them. And if I see something, I mean, sometimes I will see stuff like, I hate you, or just like very not kind things being said to these people on these accounts. And you kind of just ignore it. It's kind of just ignore it or delete it. Or if it's something of concern, you do raise it with their team.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But I've definitely been like, ooh, that's not very nice. Let me just exit out of that.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, I never really imagined that world. And somebody managing their social media for them. So it totally makes sense though. So as far as like the technology that you guys are using, are you leveraging any AI tools to make it more efficient?
A little bit, yeah. So we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're against ChatGPT. I am someone who will use it to correct grammar for those things, but ChatGPT sometimes adds in misinformation when you're writing out posts or anything. So I try to limit that. But I will use AI for editing photos or expanding photos or sometimes with graphic designing.
Hmm.
But I try to kind of steer away from it when it comes to words and facts because ChatGPT or AI will kind of add in those little things. It's a very dicey thing to deal with. And I
Yeah.
think we're all coming to this conclusion that AI is a future and we really need to be on it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, it's only going to get better and better.
Hmm.
So it might be a little bit challenging now, but it is, it's showing some real progress. And I think it's really cool how we've been able to create some social media content just using
Hmm.
AI. Now, how has your work changed with the advent of AI? Like, has it made your job easier? Has it made it more complicated because now everybody wants you to use AI? Or like, what's your feeling on all that?
I actually like AI a lot for editing wise, like photos and graphics and
Hmm.
posting things like that. That's really helped me in that area.
Yeah.
But like I said before, there's always a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of things being posted about AI or using AI that is not ethical in terms of like artists or stealing work and things like that.
Hmm.
But I personally have loved to leverage it and the things I've learned about AI and that I'm continuing to learn because I want to make sure that I'm doing the best for my clients has been really cool. And I think there's a future if once we manage it and we're able to control it. Right now it's kind of in the area where, ooh, we don't know kind of where it's going, but I think it'd be a really great tool to enhance.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. One of my favorite features about AI editing tools is removing objects from photos.
Oh yeah.
It's so fun. And it's really cool how it can just like
Just like
generate whatever is in the
remove that
background.
girl right there. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I don't need her in my photo anymore. I
Bye.
look pretty good in it, but no,
I definitely had to
anyways.
use that for editing out people or kind of expanding the photos and things like that.
Yeah, just like people in the background, just
Yeah.
like delete them. It's like I feel so powerful.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, cool. So obviously as we're getting close to election time and stuff like that, do you think that social media and the work that you do has an impact on the outcome of the election?
That's a big answer, a big question. Um,
Like maybe not you
my
specifically, but
okay,
like
yeah.
other people in general as they're
Definitely.
managing social media
Definitely,
accounts?
I think so. I mean, we're both parties have been heavily recruiting digital influencer management people. I've just seen a huge influx from, I mean, the previous election, I was 20 years old in 2020 versus now it's heavily people have been influencing and people have been working in that realm. And myself, I work more primarily on the West Coast and the local politicians.
Hmm.
And that makes a difference too with generating more publicity. But it does. I mean, I follow all the pages, I see all the memes, I see these politicians posting things. I'm like, which wouldn't have happened 5 years ago, 4 years ago, last election. So I think these people who are my age or older are really starting to harness that power of social media and kind of relating just to younger generations. So yeah, I do believe that it's really going to prove what happens in November.
Yeah. So do you create memes of your clients?
I don't. I mean, they don't
So,
know about that,
yeah.
but no, I don't. The political sector locally, I would think is a lot more balanced than it
Hmm.
is on the federal level nationally. But I mean, I can make memes and not show them; they wouldn't know. But no, I
You
don't.
post it on a
I don't make
secret
the
account.
memes. I don't make the memes. No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, okay, cool. So, like back to the business side, like
Yeah.
as you were growing this business, what are some strategies that have allowed you to boost your business's growth?
Honestly, having people around you that are in the same field that you can bounce off questions from. There are so many times I've asked friends, like, hey, how should I price myself? What should I say? Or do you know a guy? Do you know someone who can design websites or things like that? One of my
Hmm.
friends, she actually designed my very first website for me and taught me how to design websites after that. So
Hmm.
having a community around me has been super important. Just being able to bounce off ideas. And if you don't have someone to do that with, there are so many communities online like Reddit and Facebook pages that have people dedicated to something that you're involved in, social media management, anything. And I oftentimes will use Reddit as a resource if my friends don't answer. So just reaching out to your tribes and finding ways to really up your game.
Yeah. So you'd say it's pretty important then to have relationships and
Yeah.
networking in business.
Yeah, for sure. I think you really do. And especially just being someone who is always a learner, someone who's always open to learn more creative ways for their clients. Like just even little things being more professional is really important to always being a lifelong learner.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's 100% very important. And like I think there's two aspects to it as well. So there's like the circle of people that you surround yourself with, and maybe like your colleagues, or like you guys are kind of generally on the same level,
Mhm.
or as some would call, maybe somebody's like one step ahead of you. And then you have this person that's also like 10 steps ahead of you, or like 100 steps ahead
Oh,
of you.
yeah.
Because then you not only have a vision for the future, like something that you're modeling, but you also have people who are like kind of at your level, and you like, you know, a little bit more than this person, and this person knows a little bit more than you. So you're kind of like
Mhm.
learning from each other. But then you also have this person that's like really mentoring and teaching you and helping you take your business to the
Yeah.
next level.
I hate being the smartest person in the room. Or not the smartest person in the room, but like when I walk into a room and I have the most going for me,
Hmm.
that's not the room I want to be in. I want to be somewhere where I feel like, wow, like I'm with the big boys. Oh, I'm going to learn something here, because you don't want to waste your time with people who are not going to help you grow and move to the next level. And that's why I'm so thankful to have so many friends that have side businesses. Maybe they even work in corporate, but they have some business on the side that can help me with my business and vice versa. It's been really fun just to give clients to my friends and also refer clients to me as well, having that
Hmm.
decommunication connection with them.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, in business, things aren't always 100% certain. Sometimes we're like, well, you know, this seems like I should do this, but I'm not really sure. So, how do you approach decision making when you're faced with uncertainty?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of talk a little bit about something that happened to me earlier this year. I actually had my father pass away about 6 months ago,
Mm,
and I kind of was at a crossroads where I didn't really necessarily know what I wanted to do with my business. I was like, where do I go from here? What kind of what I do? And I just, at that moment, I just really needed something to kind of give me joy. And I was working with my clients and loving that, but kind of just having that kind of little missing piece, more creativity. And out of nowhere, I started getting referrals to work and coach pageant girls, people, women who are competing pageants.
mhm.
And I started doing that. I started coaching them in media and runway, and still applying the things I was doing with my other clients, but more in kind of a fun and just creative way. And that really helped me get through the hard time.
Mm, interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about that, like the coaching and stuff like that that you do on the
Yeah.
pageant side. So, obviously, you've been in pageants yourself.
Yep.
So
I
tell us about your
have.
journey there, and then kind of what that's evolved to today.
Yeah. So I've been in pageants for about 10 years now. I competed my first pageant when I was 14, and then I won Miss Washington USA 2022. So 2 years ago, I competed at Miss USA, and it was such an amazing experience, but also like in very, very incredibly difficult to compete
Hmm.
there and at that high level. But it taught me so many different skills and stuff. And I like talking about my journey at Miss USA and afterwards, because I left Miss USA with no job, no opportunities, no prospects, and that's not something you would imagine you have after
Mm,
competing at such a very high level where there's millions of eyes watching you and followers and people are talking about you, to just kind of be left in the dust. So I kind of call that year post Miss USA like my upcoming year, where I start my business, where I get all these clients, where I start networking and start working in these fields. And I randomly got approached by a friend of a friend who was like, "Hey, I have a friend who is competing for Miss Washington, is looking for a coach. I know you won Miss Washington. Do you want to coach her?" And I said, at first, I was really hesitant because I've never coached before, at least for in the pageant world. But since I had such a big, extensive background in it, I thought, okay, why not? And I kind of started just building out my packages, like I said, talking to my friends and seeing how should I price myself, kind of doing that research. And then I got another referral, and then another referral, and then another referral. And then I was coaching 5 girls at once across the country in
mhm.
different states, and as well as my other clients that are in the politician and nonprofit space. And I just was like, okay, this is something different. Like I actually know what I'm doing. And I didn't think I was going to go into that world. So I am so grateful for it. Actually, right after here, I'm going to go coach one of my other clients. So
There you
it's
go.
a really fun break between being in the professional world of working with politicians and nonprofits and businesses to I'm doing the same thing in media and management and branding them and helping the social media aspect, but it's a little bit more fun, more glamourful.
So, tell me a little bit more about that year of you winning Miss Washington. So, why do you think that you didn't get any opportunities? I'm just kind of curious. Like, is that a normal thing for people to get opportunities coming out of that win?
Um, I would say sometimes. I think the brand of pageantry has definitely changed a little bit.
Hmm.
I mean, there just wasn't enough time. I only had 9 months when usually girls have a year to year and a half. And
Hmm.
I was finishing my degree. I was modeling. I was working at my friend's startup. And I also was competing for Miss Washington or Miss USA as Miss Washington. And I think I was a little bit naive. I thought, oh, I'm competing for Miss USA. People are going to reach out to me. Things are going to happen. And
Hmm.
so when it ended and I didn't have people knocking my door, offering me job opportunities, saying, hey, do this, here's that, it was a little bit of a reality check. And it's really important that when you do get that opportunities, you have to utilize it. And I think I didn't really utilize it enough, or I just didn't have the time to do at the moment.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it was a very big reality check for me. I can say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think that's important. I mean, being intentional about taking advantage of these opportunities that we have.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of these things, they're time sensitive. It's like that was the window to take advantage of the opportunity. And then after that, which I think you definitely pivoted well. So congratulations.
Thank
But
you.
you took advantage of the situation that you had at that opportunity or at that point in time. And you pivoted into coaching and all the social media stuff that you've
Yeah,
got
I
going
didn't
on.
have any connections. And then I started finding networking groups in with other friends in the political space and just networking, getting my word out. I started talking to people. Honestly, having anyone who would listen to me, hear my dreams and hear what I want to do. And then eventually it kind of spun into something, but it definitely took a while. It took a lot of time just kind of gaining that confidence again because you have this huge drop of just serotonin from having everyone just love you and admiration to just no one really caring about you. And then having to kind
Because your
of,
last year.
yeah, it was those last years at that time and having to build my confidence back up. But it really
Yeah.
was very humbling to realize that I had nothing going on and then having to rebuild that. So, and then you're even more proud of yourself at that point because you're like, okay, I came back, I have more experience.
Hmm.
And I was 22, turning 23 at the time. And I was a little baby and I didn't even realize it.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great the way you've pivoted and kind of come out of that whole thing. And so, how do you stay on top of like industry trends? So obviously, social media and stuff like
Mhm.
that, it's always changing. There's always new technology and like new this, new that. How do you stay on top of those trends and stay competitive in the market?
There's a few different ways. A few different ways I like to do is by listening to podcasts, reading books,
Hmm.
but also like Google certificates, finding courses that are people who are industry leaders who are giving these courses out or $100, $200 courses that really do help prepare yourself. Like there's so much responsibility in yourself as a business owner to keep learning, to keep being up so your clients have the best chance with you.
Hmm. So continuing education and self
Yeah.
development.
'Cause I mean, it's just me at this point, just in my office or in my home doing this work, and I'm in a vacuum. I can't just learn from myself at the times. Like, yes, you do learn from experiences and working with clients, but sometimes you do need that outside knowledge. And I think that just continuing education wherever you can is really important. Listen to podcasts, books, and upping your game.
Yeah, definitely. I think it does play a huge role and it allows us to stay current and on top of the game. So, one thing that you mentioned a little bit earlier is kind of like that path to entrepreneurship. So, if somebody's watching this and they're like, Mazzy, I don't know, like I'm working this job or I'm just getting out of college, like, how do I know entrepreneurship is right for me?
I think you just have to try it. For me, I was pushed into it. I really didn't see a different way, a different life that I wanted to live. And I was really pushed into it. Find something that you're passionate about, something that you can do every single day and not get bored of it. That really drives your passion. For me, that was working social media and that was working
Hmm.
with pageant girls. And I would take working for less money, doing something that I'm doing versus working for someone else, doing something that I don't want to do.
Hmm. So, you're more focused on the passion side of business where you would rather do something where you maybe make a little less money, but you're passionate about it versus something that's just like super profitable.
Yeah, you have one life. And from losing my dad, I think I really did realize that he always instilled in me just like life's a game, have fun, like things are going to come back around. And if you're really not enjoying what you're doing, then what's the point of it? And I know a lot of people want to become business owners and stuff. And for me, I also wanted to, but I had no idea what I want to do for a long time until I kind of stumbled onto, well, I'm not getting hired. So I guess I'm going to start my own business.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, how do you manage your time and your resources as a business owner? Obviously, you got multiple things going on. You live a busy life. How do you manage all those things?
It is so hard.
Yeah.
When you don't have somewhere to be at 9 a.m., trust me, it is hard to get out of bed at 7 a.m. But I am a morning person, so I like getting started early. I feel like my productivity works the best in the morning.
Yeah.
So the thing about being a business owner is that you're kind of working 24/7. So finding times during the day where your productivity is the best. And for
Mhm.
me, it's morning time, afternoon. For someone else, it'd be at night or anything.
Mhm.
And I like scheduling the bulk load of my meetings and work in the morning so I can front load that and then have time for other things at night.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, how about like physical fitness? Do you do anything to keep yourself in shape as you manage your business?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I actually started getting back into running and I love that. Running is so fun. I mean, when you first start, it sucks. It's
Running is awful.
horrible. It's awful. But
If you're listening to this, don't listen to her.
but once you keep going, 1 mile turns into
Mm.
two, turns into three, and then you can run 4 miles and you feel really good at it. But honestly, just having something like for me, I like working on the mornings. It does push me to get up in the morning to do something. I like doing hot yoga, lifting weights, kind of having that. I've also gone to golfing recently, and that
Hmm,
really works your back muscles. So
interesting.
golfers know what they're doing.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you have a work-life balance between like your personal life and your work life?
Most times, I would say the past week, not so much. I was working a lot. I would say I try my best to having times where I have a few hours out of my day where I just don't do anything, like nothing planned, maybe an hour or two at least. I can choose go for a walk, I can read a book, I can scroll on social media if that's what I want to do, but just a few hours a day that I can just do whatever I want to do. Cause I mean, being productive is so important, but I like to say that we are human beings, not human doings.
Mm.
And who we are as a person is not based on our productivity. And so, for me, myself, having an hour or two out of the day that I can just do whatever I want and then go back to work, take a break is really
Yeah.
better for my mental health.
Yeah. No, I really like that. We're human beings, not
Not
human
human
doings.
doings. I heard that.
That's a quote.
I like that one.
No, I think that's really good. Okay, cool. So, kind of looking at this whole picture of your business, what you've built, what role do you think like personal branding and your personal brand and like marketing goes into growing your business?
Oh, it's so important. Like on my social media page, my personal one, it's more about me and who I am versus my business page is more my business, my clients. And you don't really see myself on my business page. And I think it's important for anyone who is a business owner or who is kind of in that space of being entrepreneur, having a website, making sure you're being conscious and conscious of what you're posting because there are eyes on you. And I see so many people just posting whatever, saying whatever, not really thinking and being intentional behind what they're posting on LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
it's kind of screwing with this brand. And brand is a really big word nowadays. And what's your brand? What are you doing? And once you learn how to define that, people are able to flock more to you and know, like, this is, for example, Mazzy, and this is her business. And people know me as that.
Mhm. Social media is a very competitive space. And so, how do you handle competition and how do you make yourself stand out?
I really don't think about that competition. I kind of think of myself as I offer things that are unique to me because it's just my experience, especially working in pageantry and working with girls and coaching them that field. I don't really kind of think of other people as competitors.
Okay. And
I'm my own
so,
biggest competitor.
yeah, exactly. So, as far as like, growing your business, we all make mistakes. What would you
Mhm.
say is the biggest mistake you made?
Ooh, do we have time for this? There's definitely a lot of things with people don't really talk about with like taxes and making sure that you have everything in order for your business. And I definitely had to have a reality check when I was first filing my taxes, my business about making sure that everything is ordered. So like working with an accountant is so important. And even when you are a small business, keeping track of your business expenses, which is not something that you would necessarily think about right out of the gate.
Hmm. And what would you say is the best piece of advice that you received while on your journey?
There's always a solution. Yeah, there's always a solution to any problem. And no matter how big things seem or how little they seem, there's always someone that's going to reach out to you and be able to help with you with that problem.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty, cool. So, as we wrap up here, what's one word of advice that you would give our listeners today?
Find something you love and do as much as you can to achieve it. I think we're living one life, and what's the point of working for someone doing something you don't want to do?
All righty, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today, guys. This was Better Business with Austin Zelan. You heard it from Mazzy Eckel herself. We're human beings, not human doings. I'll see you all in the next episode.